Hey, thanks for stopping by. I want to talk about why complex characters work better in story than simple ones. You need simple ones. They call them flat characters, and there are times you need that. You need something for the main characters to work against or something like that. But you want complex characters, and I'll explain this by going back in time. Like if you look at old westerns, if when you watch the old westerns in black and white, there are some really good ones. But lots of times, one of the reasons that made those movies so popular is that the audience knew whom to root for and whom to root against. There were good guys and there were bad guys, and it was all clear. And back in the day, the crowd in a movie would, especially silent movies, you got the piano going. The good guy would ride onto the screen, and people could cheer for him right there. And then when the bad guy came on, he was like twirling his mustache. His name was Bart or Dastardly Dan or something like that, and you knew that was your bad guy. That was who you could boo. That's who you could root against. Well, that worked well. People enjoyed it, and I still love a story like that. Um, Here's the deal: if when they if a crowd didn't know yet whether a person was a good guy or a bad guy, typically in those old cowboy stories, there would be one article of clothing that would tip you off, and it's not the sheriff's badge; it's the color of the hat. So that's why these days we'll talk about a white hatted character or a black hatted character. The good guys wore the white hat, or sometimes silver or gray, as in the case of the Lone Ranger. But it would be a light hat, a white hat, whereas the bad guy was going to be in the black hat. And it worked, but we don't really very often study those old movies in literature classes because those characters don't create good literature. Good literature is about truth, it's about real human beings. And when we have real human beings interacting in the world, almost nobody is always going to wear the white hat. I would love to. I try to. I try to be the kind of person who's always kind and respectful and all of that. But you talk, I mean, check with the Verizon customer service rep that I talked to this morning and ask her how well I am doing at always being the white-hatted character, or somebody that I coached little league against 10 years ago, who are going to remember something like that. So the fact is, most of us wear white hats sometimes and black hats sometimes, and so in literature we need complex characters who do the same. The example I like to give comes from a famous scene in Hamlet. Hamlet is, you don't really have to know if you don't remember the story, you don't have to know that much. It's about this guy who is the title character of the play. His name is Hamlet. And his dad has the same name. Guess what his name is? Hamlet. King Hamlet. But King Hamlet has died just before the play begins. And his son, Prince Hamlet, is racked with pain and doubt as the story begins because he's furious because his mom has married his uncle, Claudius. This is the guy that Hamlet hates. He hates his uncle, he's a bad dude, and now his mom, the queen, has married Uncle Claudius, and Claudius is now the king. So Prince Hamlet is furious. Well, he gets even more upset when one night his father, the dead King Hamlet, shows up. It's the ghost of King Hamlet shows up and tells young Prince Hamlet, hey, you think you hate him now? Wait till you hear this. He murdered me. Weirdly, he poured poison into his ear, however that would happen. But that's how the story goes. And Prince Hamlet knows, oh my God. He's like, I knew it. I knew something like that was going on. And King Hamlet said, yes. And so now I've got a job for you. You must avenge my death. So much of the rest of the play is Hamlet trying to get himself to do it. The problem is he's this intellectual who's also, he has a hard time making decisions sometimes, and he's consistently thinking things out. That's why we get to be or not to be. That whole speech is there. He's deciding to live or not to live, to be or not to be. And he's trying, that's the question. But the rub is, well, what if I dream? Where do I go after I die? So there's this whole thing as he goes back and forth. He's also trying to figure out, do I kill my uncle? When do I kill him? How do I kill him? And so in this scene that I mentioned, He's walking by at one point, and King Claudius is in what they call a prayer closet, and he's racked with guilt. And for a minute during this part of the play, we feel some sympathy for our black hat. The bad guy is saying, I shouldn't have done this. You can go check the text. But he feels guilty. He's acknowledging his guilt, and we can feel for him a little bit. We get some complexity. And Hamlet also becomes really complex there because he sees the king praying, and he pulls his sword, and he says, all right now I'm going to run him through, and I'll kill him right now while he's got his back turned, no bodyguards around. And then he doesn't. He puts his sword away, and he says, I'm not killing him right now. Why? Because if he killed him right now, King Claudius's soul is clean, and it would therefore go to heaven. And Hamlet says, I'm not doing it right now then. He didn't do that for my dad. My dad didn't get to confess. So he says, I'm going to wait till he's drunk with a whore in his bed. Then I will kill him and damn his soul to hell. Which, if you think about it, is kind of an uncool thing to do to somebody. So you can see what Shakespeare does in that moment. I mean, you talk about a storyteller, that guy Shakespeare. But right there, he takes the two hats, the white hat and the black hat, and he switches them. And in doing so, both characters feel more full. Both characters feel more complex. Both characters feel more real. And I can identify with each of them. I can identify with the black hat guy, the white hat guy. The text resonates with me. And that's why when characters can be complex like that, I know we would love it if somebody was just good all the time. And there's a part of us that likes a story like that. But it doesn't rise to the level of literature, and it can't take us to the same places emotionally and intellectually unless the characters can demonstrate some amount of complexity.